Guys, welcome to another episode of Life Lessons with Law. My name is Loretta Gerard, and on this space, we like to have open, honest, authentic, heart-to-heart conversations on everything pertaining to love, life, faith, and womanhood. So if this is your first time of listening to the podcast, you are most welcome. Thank you for choosing to spend this time with me. If you are a returning listener, thank you so much for choosing to hang out with me today. So today I was just thinking about perfectionism and unhealthy competition, and I just thought that I should just share some of my ruminations, some of my brooding on that. I know that for the longest time I have been a perfectionist for the longest time. I think that sometimes, a lot of times, that need to be a perfectionist is tied to a sense of performance, always tying your worth to your performance, tying your worth to your achievements. And for a very long time, this has been my default, wanting to be perfect, wanting to always do everything perfectly. And if something is not perfect, it stirs me up. It keeps me up at night. It makes me feel uneasy because I don't think that I have done it well enough. And what got me thinking about it is one day something happened. I don't know what happened. I think I spilled something or something like that happened. And then when it happened, I was so frustrated because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I made that mistake. Oh my God, I can't believe that I did something like that. And my husband was like, well, it's just a mistake. It's just a mistake. You don't have to beat yourself up about it. And it made me think of the fact that a lot of times we just beat ourselves up for not being perfect. We beat ourselves up for being human. We beat ourselves up for not meeting our own expectations, and that feeling of perfectionism can be very paralyzing. It can make you feel like you're not doing enough because it is never enough. You can try, but then because you are locked up in this feeling of wanting to do exceedingly abundantly above your human ability, wanting to do beyond what you are actually capable of doing, humanly speaking, it eats you up. But then I think that we all need to get to a point of rest, knowing that our worth is not tied to how we perform. Our worth is not tied to our achievements. It's good to achieve. It's good to set goals for ourselves and achieve and accomplish those goals. But at the center of it is who we are. I'm not my achievements. I'm not the things that I've been able to accomplish with my life. I have value and worth simply because I am. And I understand that I am human. And I can do everything right all the time. The thing about perfectionism is that when you have exceedingly high expectations of yourself, you tend to place those exceedingly high expectations on other people. And then you get upset when they don't meet those expectations, right? Because you have placed something that performance, that need to perform, you have placed it on them and you expect them to act accordingly. It's not, you constantly have these high expectations of people, and when they don't meet it, it's a problem, right? And I think also, and the reason why I decided to talk about it side by side, perfectionism, and side by side unhealthy competition, is because when you constantly try to be perfect, somehow you are comparing yourself to somebody else. You're chasing something, you feel like you need to get it so that you can feel good about yourself, so that you can outperform the other person. But the thing about unhealthy competition, and I say unhealthy competition because there's a healthy way to compete, there's a healthy way to compare. Healthy competition is about looking at yourself and saying, okay, I was this way last year. How can I be this way this year? Healthy competition is understanding that I can learn from another person's success. I can learn from another person's story. I can learn from how someone does something or how someone did something. But I need to understand that person is on a different journey. That person is in a different lane. We all have different assignments. We all have our lanes set before us. So I don't compare my journey to that person's journey, but I will learn as much as possible from that person. That is a healthy way to compete. Healthy competition is also about, looking inwards and saying that, how can I be better for myself? What do I need to do to be better for myself? If I was this way last year, how can I be better this year? That is a better way. That's how you compete in a healthy way, right? So healthy competition is not about you looking at other people and then, hating them for their progress, or wishing that they are not moving as fast. They're not moving as fast as they are. That's jealousy, that's envy, and that's an unhealthy way to relate with people, right? So, but if you don't check those perfectionist tendencies, you'll find yourself competing secretly with people. You'll find yourself constantly comparing yourself to people. You will find yourself resenting people for their success instead of focusing on yours. And you feel defeated by someone else's win because the focus is on your performance, not on who you are, not your worth as a person. So I believe that it is important for us to check ourselves. It is important for us to, and if you have this perfectionist tendency, it's important. It's not to judge, but it is to check yourself, to put the mirror before yourself and say, look, okay, I think it's time to do something about this. Where is this coming from? Where did this start? Where did this stem from? For me, before I started working on it, I realized that mine started from my childhood, because as the firstborn daughter, the firstborn child, there's an expectation of you to do things the right way. There's an expectation of you to get things right. And because I grew up with those expectations, I needed to be right. I needed to be perfect. I needed to do everything the right way. And when I made mistakes, those mistakes were not taken lightly. Because there was an expectation, there was a responsibility that was placed on me. It was ingrained in me that I had a responsibility, and by virtue of that responsibility, it was important for me to constantly show myself worthy of that responsibility, to constantly show myself worthy of that position, that firstborn child position that I occupied, right? And because of that, I learned to perform. I learned to tie my worth to my performance. I learned to tie my worth to the things that I achieved, to the A's, to the B's, to the position, to my position in class, to how well I did academically. And on days when on days when I failed, it hit me like failure. Failure threw me into depression, because I'd learned over time that for me to fail means that I'm a failure. For me to fail at something means that something is wrong with me. I'd not been taught, I'd not learned to detach myself from my performance. So I tied a lot of my worth on how I perform. It took a while to understand, and it took being in a healthy relationship to understand that your failure does not define you. And so coming back to that incident that happened when I spilled something, and I felt so frustrated that because I could not believe that I made such a mistake, and seeing my husband's reaction to it, and him making me see that it's just a mistake. You don't have to kill yourself for it. You're human. It opened up something in me, and it made me realize that I am not my mistakes. I mean, I'm not my success. It's those that is important, but my worth is not tied to my results. My worth is not tied to the things that I get. And I learned over time to just be, to just live life from a place of rest, to live my life in a way that is genuine, in a way that comes from a place of peace. Peace, knowing that I have worth and value as I am, and that I don't need to have everything figured out. I can take steps, just little steps. I can take things one step at a time. I don't need to have it all figured out. And when I finally started learning that, it helped me focus on my own lane, my own story, my own journey. So I stopped competing. I stopped comparing myself to other people. I started learning to water my own grass, water my own garden, because I realized that I'm on a different journey, and it started teaching me to celebrate the success of other people, to clap for other people when they win, and to see people beyond their achievements. It's a beautiful mindset to have. You don't have to be perfect to be valuable. You don't have to outdo anyone to be enough. You're already worthy as you are. You don't have to tie your value to the things that you have achieved. Those things come and go. You have value just because you are. And when you understand this, you're able to relate with the other people in your life with genuineness, with compassion, with love. You learn to be grateful for your own story. You learn to be grateful for your own lane. You understand that another person's win is not your loss. You understand that there are many stars in the sky and they all shine. You understand that the sky is wide enough for everyone to fly. You understand that done will always be better than perfect. That you don't have to wait for the stars to align before you take a step. You understand that you can just be. You can just be as you are. You understand that even in the pursuit of growth, even in the pursuit of becoming a better version of yourself, the process, the journey itself is what matters, not necessarily the outcome. You appreciate your journey. You speak kindly to yourself when you fail, because you know that failure does not define you. You know that failure, the fact that you failed at something, doesn't mean that you are a failure. You know that the fact that you were rejected doesn't mean that you are not deserving of love. You know that the fact that something bad happened doesn't mean that you are deserving of it. You embrace yourself for who you are. You're not afraid of your journey. You're not afraid of your story. You're not afraid of your own process. You're happy to, you embrace your strengths, you embrace your weaknesses. You're happy in your journey, in your process. You know that you won't have it all together all the time. You know that it is step by step, moment by moment. And you know that even when you fall, you can always pick yourself up and keep moving. Perfectionism stems from a fear of just not doing right, not doing everything right. The fear, just that inability to accept your humanity. But you're human. And you won't always do the right thing. You won't always do the right thing. And that is okay. That is fine. You don't have to be perfect. Nobody is. So don't put that pressure on yourself. Don't put that pressure on yourself. Your lane is your lane. Your story is your story. Your journey is your journey. You are unique as you are. You are valuable as you are. You are special. There is never going to be anybody like you in this world. That's what makes you special. So yeah, put all of that down and rest. You don't need to strive. You can live from a place of complete rest. You can live from a place of just being satisfied with your journey. It doesn't mean that you don't strive for better. It's just that you are happy to be in your lane. You're just on your journey, competing with yourself, taking it one step at a time. You are valuable. You really are. Alright guys, yeah, that's just all I wanted to share today. I hope you found this useful. I hope you found this valuable. If you did and you know someone else who might benefit from listening to this, please do well to share this episode with them. Alright, on that note, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you again in my next episode. Bye.